Merry Christmas, dear friends! Here we are, day 22. And this is 30 days of good news with the Master. What a joy! What a joy! We are here at the dawn of a new day, December 25th. And Jesus is born. Hello, Alba! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! What a joy, huh? What a joy. Hello, Narciso. And I'm going to begin the program today by singing to you. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And a happy, happy New Year. But that's another story. Hello, Alcione. Angelita, Leonor. What a joy, friends. Thank God Jesus is born, right? Because he brought us the good news. And not only through words, but through nonverbal lessons of true love. True love. Hello, Jussara. Merry Christmas. I think it's the first time we're spending Christmas together. Right? I think so. Hello, Valeria. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Alba. Miss you so much. Yes. And to the whole family. And to you. Right, you, Sarah? First time. Yeah. Only Jesus could operate this miracle. And here we are. Good news. And today the good news is truly a gift from Jesus. I didn't plan it, but I tell you, the title of the chapter today we're going to study on the book Good News is The Woman and the Resurrection. I didn't pick it. I didn't choose it. It just coincided. But there is no coincidence. There's no coincidence in life. Everything is, in a way, organized, pre-planned. Not that we're fated to anything, but there is order in the universe. Merry Christmas, Leonor. Thank you so much. Yes, life is challenging for all of us. But here we are at the dawn of a new day, a very special day. After a unique night, Christmas Eve represents that night when Jesus was about to come, and he came to divide history, not only in the books, but inside of our hearts. After Jesus, we are different, or not yet. Are we different or not yet? That's a question for us, very important therapeutic question. After all, this moment is to study this book, Good News, by Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier, which is in English, yet to be published by its publisher, the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. And in this book, we're going to find the good news for a new life, tools for inner empowerment, therapeutic knowledge for our immortality. Feliz Navidad, Rudy. Hello, Karen. Good seeing you here. And Renata, Merry Christmas, Renata, and your loving family too. Ready? Chapter 22, The Woman and the Resurrection. What is it about? We need to know, because at every chapter we get to know of a new facet inside of us, a new feature. Renata. So, how it begins. I think it's so beautiful, this chapter. Again and again we repeat, if you are a painter, not wall painter, meaning like painter, artistically speaking, this book has true landscapes for you. Let us listen to this. Project in your mental screen. The Woman and the Resurrection. The joyful waters of Lake Tiberias. Google Lake Tiberias. You'll be surprised how beautiful it is. Were slowly quieting, the joyful waters of Lake Tiberias were slowly quieting, as if touched by an invisible force of nature, when Simon's barge, carrying the Lord, gently reached the beach. Visualize it. Jesus is fishing with Peter. Can you imagine? What a master. He comes to work with you. He knows where you are. He's with you. Hi, Katia. Merry Christmas, Katia. Relinquishing the oars, the old apostle's face expressed the contradictory emotions of his soul, while Jesus observed him, foretelling Simon's innermost thoughts. How interesting is it that we are, in this very moment, learning about emotional body language with Humberto de Campos. He already learned that we express our emotions through our body language, and he's describing it to us. This is not a given, right? Hello, Rihanna. You're there in South Africa, right? Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas, Solange. Peace and love to you too. Thank you so much. Hello, Lydia. Oh, Lydia. Your mom's birthday, our beloved Selenia, right, Shusara? We love Selenia Shepherd so much, and we still do. Lydia, please receive our hug, because you are always in our hearts. You know, we may be physically distant, but we're close together. Selenia Shepherd contributed a lot with Spiritism in the United States, together with her husband, Steve Shepherd, and her children, Mike and Lydia Shepherd. We have history together. Selenia discarnated, but still lives, helping everyone. So here we have, while Jesus observed him foretelling Simon's innermost thoughts, and then the Master asked, with his friendly and penetrating look. Let us visualize this. The Master asked, you know, how often do you see a friend with struggling feelings about to be expressed and you don't say a word? You say, no, I'm not going to ask anything. But Jesus is telling us a different approach, a friendly approach. What's troubling you, Simon? What's troubling you, Simon? Why not ask our friend if we really care? Surprised by the Lord's question, the old Cephas became aware of his fears and apprehensions, as if he were having difficulty completely forgetting the old laws in order to cross the threshold of the new ideas in his broad pathway of love, light, and hope. Master, he responded shyly, the law that governs us demands that we stone the woman that perverted her existence. Jesus already knew the fisherman's thoughts in advance. He also observed his scruples in giving him a light warning. Then Jesus replied mildly. You see how caring he is. Simon, it is almost always not women who pervert their own selves. Men are the ones who destroy their lives. Did you listen to that? You know why I'm asking this to you? Because if you go to the TED Talks, type in Jim Carter, the former president, you're going to listen from him saying, the ultimate frontier is about the emancipation of women in this world. Sincerely, it is. Not because I'm a woman, but because as a behavioral scientist, we can tell that it's still very difficult for people in this world to give equality, to make equality happen in this world. Equality of rights and everything else. And whenever somebody goes off, we easily think in this way that Peter was thinking. How come we're not going to punish a woman if she didn't do what we expected her to do? And Jesus is saying, it's almost always not women who pervert their own selves. Men are the ones who destroy their lives. Men are the ones who destroy their lives. Men are the ones who destroy their lives. Jesus is not saying words for the time because it's revived here in Humberto de Campos. And there is a reason. There is a reason. Unfortunately, it is true. Hello, Marcos Falcão. Thank you, Karen. We love you too. And Sunshine. Hello, Merry Christmas, Marcos. Merry Christmas, Sunshine. However, the apostle respectfully responded, Master, our legislators always ordered severity and harshness toward those who fail in decadent ways. Lord, considering our norms, I fear for you when you welcome so many prostitutes and women of immoral ways at the preachings in Tiberias. And Jesus replies, don't fear for me, Simon, because I come on behalf of my Father, and I should not have any desire other than that of fulfilling his wise and merciful plans. He is telling Simon, I know what I'm doing, because God sent me here, remember? On and off, we'll see the disciples trying to teach the master a lesson, trying to counsel the master. It's so interesting because I think that habit is still inside of us. How many of us still think that Jesus' suggestions and recommendations are not for the current times yet? They say, oh, this is for the future, when humanity gets better. Then people are going to follow through Jesus' recommendations. It doesn't happen this way. We need to conform to the recommendations for the world to be better. It's not going to be better by itself. Today, in our Christmas Gospel, we were reading a message on the blessed are the poor in spirit, talking about pride. And we learned about the people who push away their affiliation with Jesus, with God, because of their ego. But many people, they say they believe in God. But when we talk about our daily lives, we behave just like anybody else, even those who don't believe in God. So what's the difference? Same for Jesus. Same for Jesus. How many of us? It's okay, Sunshine. Enjoy your family. Yes. Merry Christmas. Big kiss. Merry Christmas. Enjoy, okay? So friends, how many of us are still like Simon and the other disciples who try to tell Jesus that his way is not the way we can actually, comply? Because we give excuses. We tell, if I do what he's saying, I'm not going to get the promotion that I need. If I do what Jesus say, I'm not going to get married to the person that I want. If I do what Jesus say, I'm not going to have peace to relax because I'll be constantly taking care and serving people. I'm not saying we're not going to rest, but most likely than not, we're going to be helping others, and maybe we won't be able to take that easy life for ourselves. We're not going to sleep probably at the time that we wanted. Yeah, because we're serving. That's how it is. Remember, when we talk about service, it's not about our time. It's about the time of God. So, thus spoke the Master, full of goodness, spreading a compassionate look towards the waters, which were slightly choppy from the keys of the twilight winds. Jesus continued with a mix of energy and tenderness. spreading a compassionate look towards the waters. That's new to us. Compassionate look towards the waters. Meditate on this. What is he trying to teach us here? You know, also nowadays we talk about the importance of respecting nature, of helping nature on the earth. And Jesus cared for all beings because we're all creatures of God. The fish, the plants, everything. Not only the human beings. Flávio, my brother, Merry Christmas to you, to Ira, and also to the adorable Manuela. Beijo. Okay, here we are. And Jesus, in a mix of energy and tenderness, he said, but listen to me, Peter. You like that? Thank you, Rihanna. But listen to me, Peter. The old law orders us to stone the woman who was perverted and forlorn by men. However, it also orders that we love our neighbors as ourselves. And my teaching is the fulfillment of the law by the most sublime love upon earth. Could we blame the spring of water when an animal polluted its waters? According to the law, we shall love one another, whatever the expression of her ignorance or her sufferings. Men are always weak and women are always sufferers. You know, it may sound sexist on my part in terms of, trying to emphasize this, but sincerely, this chapter is all about this. That's why the title, The Woman and the Resurrection. Men are always weak and women are always sufferers. If we don't like it, we wait for reincarnation, and then we take turns. Weak and suffering, weak and suffering. Why are men weak? Because usually, when we are in the position, one of the major tests of being a man is to control his egotism. Women as well, but it's different. There is much more pride. So much so that when you go to mediumistic meetings, majority of the spirits who come and are rescued, we call them obsessors, they are still in that mental connection with their masculine body. Meaning, men. Majority of the obsessors. And one day, I asked that question. It was 2006, the first medical spiritist meeting in the United States, which were happening in Washington, D.C. And I asked Dr. Marlene Nobre. And she said, actually, this is in a book. And then I came to know it is in a book. And she actually herself asked that question to Chico Xavier. Why majority of the obsessing spirits are in the form of men? Because it's harder for a man to forgive than for a woman. It doesn't mean women easily forgive, but it's easier because it's the feminine. Forgiveness is about the feminine in the human mind. Remember when we talked about masculine and feminine? We all have it inside of us. In the Spirits book, Kardec asks the law of reproduction. If we immortal spirits have sex, like in the sense of like, as a spirit, am I a woman or a man? And they say, none of them. We needed to do internships in the body of a man or of a woman, male and female, to learn different lessons. Law of equality, same rights, but different roles. And our society nowadays is failing because we're trying to wash away the different roles. But we have different roles, of course. Hi, Moni. How are you? Merry Christmas. So, we have different roles, but same rights. But it's inevitable. A woman is going to gestate. And that's unique. A woman is going to breastfeed. That's unique. No matter how much science tries to change that, it's still unique for the woman. The body of a woman. The spirit is mortal. Right? Yes, Felicia. Exactly. It is so true. We can't. And that's why many marriages are falling apart. Because there's no good definition of the roles anymore. I'm not saying that passive was easier. No. I don't think so. But we still haven't come to that important moment in which there is an agreement, a clear agreement, and flexible agreement, because we change. There are phases in a relationship. There are phases in our individual progress. So when we decide to live a life together, it is for the progress of both people. We needed to be flexible to accommodate the needed changes of the roles according to the needs of the individual progress as well. Right? For example, there are times in which I know men who take care of children while the wives are studying or they are working, and there are reasons. Or the reverse. There are women nowadays, they are proud of themselves saying, I don't know how to cook. And I'm like, and you think it's an advantage to you? You think you're going to be less or inferior because you're cooking? Or because you're taking care of your child? No, you're not inferior because of that. On the contrary, especially when we do it with love. But we need to go over this current taboo. And here we have Jesus saying, one of the reasons why women are also in this pathway is because, as Jesus say, men are weak. When we are in the body of men, I was a man in previous lives, of course, why not? And we are weaker in the sense of like, we give room, too much room for pride and selfishness, etc., the masculine inside of us. And then we create this hard life for women. Understanding, compassion, forgiveness are qualities of the feminine. Ideally, if you are in the body of a woman, these are main things also to work upon. Not that we shouldn't work upon when we are in the body of a man, but there is a reason. So you want a quiz today? You're in the body of a, you're connected to your body of a man or a woman. Do you know why you reincarnated as a woman or as a man in this life? Vanessa, nobody told me, but you can meditate. Observe yourself. Why is it important for me in this life to be connected to the body of a woman? Not only to be the mother, a mother, but what else psychologically am I supposed to work upon? Otherwise, I'm missing the boat. If I am reincarnated in the body of a man, positively speaking, what are the things that I need to focus upon not to miss the boat of the main gains in this reincarnation? What a gift in this Christmas time to realize one of the most fundamental questions in our reincarnation. Reincarnation is about the incarnation in this flesh. And Jesus said, we cannot be born again or see the kingdom of God without being born again. And why are we born or reborn connected to the body of a man or the woman? Why? Do you know? What are the main things for us to practice since we have this connection with this physical body? It's very important that we meditate on this question. It's one of the most important questions in a reincarnation. It's nothing to do with sexual orientation. We're talking about qualities and features of the mind, the heart, that need to be exercised according to the clothing of the body. What is it? Why is it? What do we need to learn? Let's move on. The old fisherman received the admonition with new light in his eyes, as if the innermost fibers of his spirit had been touched. Master, Peter replied, highly surprised, your word is the divine revelation. Do you then mean that women are superior to men in their earthly mission? This is Peter asking. For me, this chapter is a gift because it responds to us major questions in our reincarnation. If you reincarnate in the body of a man or a woman, one of the main questions, why is it that we are in the body of a man? Why is it that we need to experience one reincarnation in the body of a woman? Why? Do you mean that women are superior to men in their earthly mission? And Jesus lovingly clarified, he's loving. One and the other are equal before God, and the tasks of both balance each other out on the path of life, complementing each other perfectly, so that there is a sacred mutual respect in all circumstances. He then gave us the secret to a good relationship. Tasks that are complementary, that balance each other out, and the cherishing of sacred mutual respect in all circumstances. So before we get married, let's read this chapter, study it, to say the least. Chico Xavier used to say, we need to have courses for parents and for couples to make sure that they know what they're doing, to make sure we prepare them better. In regard to sentiments, since women have advanced farther than their fellow men, they are therefore often closer to God because He uses their heart as the instrument of His messages, full of wisdom and mercy. Pause. Did you know that all of the books that were psychographed at Kardec's time, majority of them, the messages, they were worked upon through mediums that were women, and they were quite young. They were teenagers. Women. Yeah, the Spirit's book. The Gospel According to Spiritism. Heaven and Hell. Genesis. Believe it or not. Women. In all human achievements, there always is a trace of female tenderness, raising imperishable works in edification of spirits. So let's not try to be like men. We can work like men. We can, earn as much money or more than men, but that's not the point. The point is not these external features of conventions. It's about the inner. If we're trying to be alike in the inner, we're missing the boat. We are supposed to be nurturing because it's the feminine. When we are born in the body of a woman, we're supposed to work mostly on the feminine. Not only, but mostly. And a man on the masculine, but the good parts of masculine and feminine. Masculine is about courage, determination, endurance, resilience, and many other things. The female part of it, for us, is intuition, forgiveness, compassion, kindness, and Jesus is the perfect balance. He's loving and kind in the body of a man because He's the perfect model for us. So you can be a wonderful, determined man, but loving. And you can be a wonderful, loving woman, but courageous. Balance. Balance. But if we are connected to the body of a man or a woman, we need to focus on some features of the feminine or the masculine that are going to benefit us. Do you already know the answer? Yes, Rudy, I agree. Amália Domingo Soler is a wonderful example of that. You're right. Jesus continues. In the history of humankind, only the name of politicians, philosophers, and generals remain. All of them are sons of some great heroine who lives in silence, unknown to all, many times with her most profound feelings ripped apart or destroyed through the most bitter sacrifices. And isn't that true? I tell you, I'm here at midnight every day. Some people look at me and they say, oh, Vanessa's life is so easy. And I tell you, like many mothers in this world, we're just surviving. We're barely surviving. Yeah, because like yesterday, we finished the Boa Nova, the good news here. Soon after I was working at Cardiac Radio, Virginia woke up. She only slept at 4 a.m. What can we do? Push a button on the child and say, go back to sleep? Lock her in her bedroom and say, stay there crying until you sleep again? No. I was awake until 4 a.m. What can we do? And here is how it is. We can't escape away. Mothers know how it is. Sacrifices. But, Simon, God is also ignored in all achievements of human progress. He is comparing the female virtues of sacrifice, of nurturing and giving, saying that we are exercising divine features that God is displaying constantly, not displaying fictitiously, but really showing to us and really being it. And we know that noise is characteristic of humankind, while silence is a characteristic of God, the synthesis of all truth and all love. Hence, even the most unfortunate women have the divine germ for the redemption of all humankind. Her feelings of tenderness and humbleness will at times be the great guide for the enlightenment of the whole world. Because without the treasure of the feelings, all works of human reason will seem as a castle with false splendors. You see why we pay attention to feelings? Even in the gospel we read today, blessed are the poor in spirit, they say, many people, they push away God from their lives because either they disregard with their reason or they don't want to feel it. And feelings, the treasure of feelings, is the foundation for a good reasoning, Jesus is saying. But the feelings of tenderness and humbleness. So here are two features of the feminine that we need to exercise. Tenderness, humbleness, humility, tenderness. Humility and tenderness. How good are we in that regard? Humility, tenderness. It could be in the body of a man or a woman, but if we're a woman, we need to work more on those features. I'm not saying men shouldn't, but we're just saying there is a reason why we reincarnate in the body of a man and a woman, beyond sexual orientation. Simon Peter listened to the Master, taken by profound rapture and sacred, admiring fervor. "You're right, Lord," whispered Peter, feeling both humbled and satisfied. "Yes, Peter, we are right," answered Jesus with kindness. "And thus it will be to women that we will entrust the most sublime mission of the edification of the gospel in our hearts, in a supreme effort to enlighten the world. And it will be to women that we will entrust the most sublime mission of the edification of the gospel in our hearts, in a supreme effort to enlighten the world. The apostle from Tiberias listened to these last words of the Divine Master, taken by surprise. Yeah, because we're always thinking, and you see, even in Spiritism, we're so behind Jesus' recommendations in so many ways. Yes. If you look at Spiritist centers, majority of the women of the people who work in a center are women. But when it comes to national meetings, international meetings, majority of the speakers are men. Very paradoxical. And this is not a sexist comment. We're just asking for coherence. Coherence. However, he maintained his smile before the sweet smile of the Messiah. Far in the distance, the final kiss of sunlight caused a golden reflection on the flowing surface of the clear running waters, which the Jordan River enriched. Fatigued from the day of labor, Peter prepared to rest, his soul enlightened by the new revelations of the Lord's words, which, with its divine light and hope, had dispelled the obscurities of Moses' law. Friends, before we go to the last part of the chapter, let me ask you a question. Did we understand this part of the message about us? In this life, I'm connected to the body of a woman. In another, in the body of a man. Yes. Amália Domingo Soler has a beautiful book, Hechos que Prueban, Spanish, the original. You can Google it, Hechos que Prueban. There is a PDF available. Portuguese, Reencarnação e Vida, yet to be in English. Both are in the PDF format in the internet. Just Google it. Cases after cases of reincarnation. And one of the most striking cases I've read in that book is about a grandfather who has a 12-year-old granddaughter. He loves her so much, and he became a spiritist and wrote a letter to Amália Domingo Soler asking for some clarifications. He said, I'm distraught that I cannot personally take care of her. She has to be taken care by others in a clinic, receiving special care because she is blind, deaf, mute, disabled, and mentally disabled too. Please tell me, how can I understand this? And then the revelation was that in a previous life, that girl was a man who abused his beauty, his body, by committing crimes, by seducing girls. And he seduced, besides many others, this one lady who came from a high society family, who was Catholic, and he convinced her to run away with him. He didn't get married to her, though. She kept being very faithful to her, like women, we always have this illusion that we're going to change the partners. And she kept talking about Jesus to him, but one day his passion went away. He was upset. He said, to one of his henchmen, go get rid of her, kill her, because I can't stand it any longer. She's talking in my ears day in, day out about Jesus. Come on. And the henchman actually goes there and kills her. You think she's upset? No, she discarnates, and then she realizes that what happened. She forgives him because she loves him, and asks Jesus to be allowed to be next to him until the day he changes his heart to Jesus. The other man, the man discarnates, another reincarnation is planned, and the man who was a criminal reincarnated as this girl who is completely disabled. And the lady who loved him so much reincarnated as her grandfather. Reincarnations in different bodies to learn different lessons. But most of all, respect, care for one another. Or we're gonna have to go through this experience until we learn it. And Humberto de Campos, very wisely, educationally saying in this chapter 22, he wants to share with us lessons from the Master so we learn about ourselves. He then stops at this moment and starts describing another scenario that is going to prove to us that Jesus didn't say those words to Peter in vain. He actually walked the talk when, look at this, 2 days passed after the painful drama of the Calvary, where the Master had been crucified on the cross of unspeakable martyrdom for the good of the whole humankind. Pain and doubt reigned in the small community of the apostles. Almost everyone had hesitated in the extreme hour. There, their frail human reasoning struggled to understand the purpose of the martyrdom. To date, people don't understand why Jesus had to go through it. And if you sacrifice your life to the benefit of all, people think you're crazy too. People may look at you like they looked at Chico Xavier. You know, there was a man who actually, let me share this with you. It was the city of Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais, the capital of the state of Minas Gerais, where Chico Xavier was born, the state of Minas Gerais. He used to live in Pedro Leopoldo, tiny city, almost a village at the time. But after he became Chico Xavier, etc., people knew him. There was this spiritist man who worked in a bookstore in Belo Horizonte. And he was always like a big fan of Chico. Never met him though. One day, people looked at the door and said, hey, look, it's Chico. He's like, Chico Xavier, is he? Where is he? There. Go talk to him. And he goes and he's like, are you Chico Xavier? And Chico said, yes, I am. Believe it or not, this man could not believe his eyes. He looked at Chico up and down and said, you, Chico? No. You're not Chico. He turned his back and didn't believe Chico Xavier was the man who was there. And you know why? Because Chico didn't look like Superman. He didn't look like super powerful, physically speaking. He didn't look any impressive. And we push away. How many people looked at Chico Xavier, including Valdo Vieira? One of the people who worked closely with him. And he was like, no, this is too simple, too humble. It can't be. No, we don't do these powerful mediumistic things to be so humble and receive no reward whatsoever. Sacrifice our lives. No. To date, we're like this. Are we like this? So here we have, wasn't Jesus the powerful Son of God who consoled the sad, the resurrected dead, that healed the sick of incurable diseases? Why didn't he rebel against Judas' betrayal with his supernatural forces? It's like the movie. All these princesses and queens and princes and superheroes, they have powers. They go there. They destroy the other ones. But Jesus was not like that. Why did he humiliate himself like that? bleeding from pain through the streets of Jerusalem, subjecting himself to ridicule and mockery. Thus, should the celestial Father's emissary be crucified among thieves? While these questions were debated by word of mouth, you see, people were talking about it after the crucifixion. The memory of the Messiah was relegated to an afterthought. People were like, I don't know. People forgot his examples and the greatness of his teachings, like nowadays. Even when people say they're Christian, but they forget. The ship of faith was not totally wrecked because there were the tears of the maternal heart overcome by bitterness. However, the resurrected Messiah observed the incomprehension of his apostles in the way that a shepherd looks over his disoriented flock. He wished for his divine words to be heard inside the tormented hearts, but only fervent faith and ardent love are capable of overcoming the abysses of darkness between earth and heaven. And all of his companions allowed themselves to be overpowered by negative ideas. You understand? When he says, men are weak, Humberto de Campos is saying, all the people, the men, the disciples who were with Jesus, they were succumbed to negativity after the martyrdom of Christ. They didn't pass the first test of faith after the crucifixion. Weakness. It was then, on the morning of the third day, that the former sinner of Magdala approached the grave with perfume and flowers. Suffering women. Mary Magdalene. She represents the women in our world. True. If you are a woman, you know what I'm talking about. Still, it happens. Even if you're a man, forgive me, because you may know it too. You may know it because you probably have seen it. We're not the only ones. I was born in a family with 4 brothers. I love them all. But I tell you, there is a difference. In parts of the world nowadays, if you're born a woman, you had better not be born, because it's going to be hard. Rarely in this world we're going to find true comfort for women who are being born. It's getting better, but we're not there yet. Look at the elections in the United States. Many people didn't vote for the woman, not because she was a bad candidate, but because she was a woman. I've never heard anybody saying, I'm not going to vote for this man because he's a man. But I've heard people saying, I'm not going to vote for this woman because she's a woman. This is our world. To date, 2016. Women who give of their lives to give birth to everyone, still being discriminated against, oppressed. It still happens on this earth. That's the ultimate frontier, the day we recognize the feminine and we are reverent, respectful. I've seen friends going through domestic violence. I've seen family members, etc., etc. It's a reality. And we need to be able to talk about it and not keep pushing underneath the carpet. I'll never forget a judge in court saying to a man, he said, I pushed my wife because she was pissing me off, he said. And the judge said, oh, she was stressing me out. And the judge said, you think every time I'm stressed out, I'm gonna push my wife and give myself that excuse? He turned to this man and said, go and work out to relieve your stress. Go do your meditation to relieve your stress, but do not oppress your woman. It's a hard talk, but we need to talk about it. Jesus talked about it. Not only he talked, but he gave us the example and the proof of what we're talking about. Mary Magdalene, once more she wanted the perfume to perfume those inert and cold hands. She didn't surrender to negativity. She was still hopeful. The disciples were hopeless. Mary Magdalene was hopeful. Once more, she wanted to contemplate the beloved Master, to cover him with her tears of purified and ardent love. In her heart shone that radiant and pure faith that the Lord had taught her, and above all, a divine dedication with which she was able to renounce all the passions that she had seduced her in this world. Mary Magdalene went to the tomb with love, and only love can perform supreme miracles. You see why he showed up to her? The feminine. She kept herself investing in the most powerful feature of the feminine, the capacity to love. In all of us, but it's the feminine. She was stupefied, for she did not find the body. She left in sadness to let the companions know about what happened, when a caring and sweet voice exclaimed softly in her ears, Mary. She expected to be admonished by the gardener, but shortly she recognized the unforgettable voice of the Master, and she contemplated that unforgettable smile. She wanted to throw herself to his feet, kiss his hands in a tender gesture. However, with a gesture of sovereign tenderness, Jesus pushed her away from him, clarifying, tenderness. Do not touch me, because I have not yet gone to my Father who is in heaven. Instinctively, Mary of Magdalene kneeled and received the gaze of the Master as her tears flowed from unsurpassing happiness. The promise of Jesus had been fulfilled. The reality of resurrection was the divine essence which would give Christianity its eternity. The message of joy resonated then in the whole community. Jesus resurrected. The gospel was the immutable truth. All hearts were filled with a divine influence of light and celestial joy. Faith was raised, love was renewed, doubt ended, and the mood of all spirits lifted. In the amplitude of the loving vibration, other eyes could see him, and other ears heard his sweet and persuasive voice, just like the glorious days of Jerusalem or Capernaum. So we all know that from that moment on, the Christian family mobilized itself in the world so that the example of Messiah will never be forgotten. Through the ardent faith and love of Mary Magdalene, the light of resurrection bathed Christianity. Okay? So, put a pause. Rihanna is reminding us here, only love can perform miracles. Love, and faith are features of the feminine inside of us, whether in the body of men or women. But if we're in the body of women, we are supposed to refine those parts. If we don't, we're missing the boat. And Jesus was so coherent when he told Peter, men are weak and women are sufferers, that he made it clear in his appearing after death. We call it resurrection, right? But we know he appeared in spiritual body. We know he proved it by showing up to her first the words he spoke to Peter. Because the disciples were men, they were weak, they were negative. But Mary Magdalene represents the suffering of women who are pushed to decisions or to situations and circumstances because of the weaknesses of others. These are Jesus' words. We're not saying we're not responsible for what we're doing, but people become co-responsible for our decisions too. And not only that, but he says, Mary Magdalene had the feature that we all need, faith and love. Question, why didn't he show up to his mother first? She didn't love enough? No, we know she did. She didn't have faith? Yes, she did. But Mary Magdalene, his appearance to her, the resurrection, quote unquote, is a teaching for us. If we overcome our inner sufferings and keep ourselves loving and faithful, we attune with the Master. We attune with the Master. That's all we need. Only love can perform miracles. We know miracles per se don't exist. Go to the book, the Genesis, and read about miracles. The definition of miracles is just that we can't understand the mechanisms. But we know God doesn't bend the law of life. But it's kind of, we can't get it yet. So we say miracle. But only love can go beyond what we can understand. This is why all historians of the origins of Christianity rest their pens, haunted by the profound faith of the first apostles who dispersed across the deserts to large cities so as to spread the good news, observing the serene faith of all the martyrs who sacrificed themselves along the endless path of time for Jesus' ideas. They ask with surprise, as did Ernest Renan in one of his works, where is the sage of the earth, who has given to the world as much joy as the loving Mary Magdalene? Jesus said it before, prophetically. He said it, I'm going to read it before we wrap up. He says it quite clearly to Peter. He says, it will be to women that we will entrust the most sublime mission of the edification of the gospel in our hearts, in a supreme effort to enlighten the world. Is he talking about motherhood? Could be. But only? No. Read Leon Denis when he talks in a book that is yet to be in English, In the Invisible. He talks about women. He got it, what the Master meant. When he talks about Joan of Arc, you know, in the Spiritist traditions, and this is just a curiosity for us, But Leon Denis wrote 2 volumes about Joan of Arc, her life being the reincarnation of Judas, the disciple of Jesus who betrayed him. Different experiences, different roles, complementary learnings. Today is the day we celebrate the coming of Jesus to the earth, in the flesh. His courage, his determination, his solidity, but most of all, the balance regarding his love, kindness, tenderness, forgiveness, and compassion. Yes, we're going to wrap up by that beautiful song, and I'm going to play it to you, okay? So that's how we're going to end the program, because it's, let me put it here. It's a promise I'm going to fulfill. It's the English part of a song that was put together by the Spiritist friend James Marotta. Portuguese, it's titled Noite Igual, and it's Holy Night in English. Our dear Cacau, who discarnated, she sung beautifully in an event organized by Haroldo Dutra Dias many years ago. And I want to stream that to you so you feel the blessings of this gratitude to the Christ. I'm going to point the camera to the computer, and hopefully you're going to see it. Yes, dear listeners, dear friends, you know, this is our night to meditate about Jesus, His love for us, the sacrifice. Let us be grateful to Him. Thanks to Him, we're here together. Let us meditate and ask Him that He relieves our sorrows, our pains, and that we renew ourselves in the Lord. A big hug of Christmas, and until tomorrow.